What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Lions Nation Unite. And today, we're going to talk about the Jameson Williams rumors and how they're getting a little bit too real. But first, do me the biggest favor in the world, guys. 50 pull-ups. Just a simple 50 pull-ups. We're in place of that. Just drop a like on the button, please. But I want to come forth and say this right away because I know how the Jamo stands are. I do not want to trade Jameson Williams this year or next year at all. I think it would be very stupid to trade Jameson Williams this year or next year at all. I don't like you are knocking on the window door of a Super Bowl. Why would you get rid of a piece like that, especially as it pertains to the draft where you're selecting question marks? You don't know how good these people are going to be. And let me just get to the base of everything too. So, to be quite frank, if we're going to the very, very, very beginning of this, I can't blame myself. Just putting this in the ethos. But it was an interesting comment made by Brad Holmes, followed by a question from Dave Burkett. And this is at the annual owners meeting. This is last week.
How does he fit into that long term?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're still taking it, as it goes. Look, his fifth-year option's coming. It's looking likely that we'll go ahead and just pick that up. But in terms of extension, again, there's a lot of extensions that are hopefully coming, but it's just one that you just don't know what's going to happen from a financial standpoint, because a wide receiver, it's expensive.
I don't know where I went. Where am I? Boom. That was weird. I don't know if you guys caught the back half of that one. I could replay it if you need to be. It's Brad Holmes saying that I don't know if it's going to happen. Talking about a Jameson Williams contract extension because wide receivers are expensive, and he's absolutely right. And the good news is next year's Jameson Williams' fourth year. When you draft somebody, you automatically get those 4 years, right? And then if you're first round pick, you get a fifth-year option. And that's what Brad was referring to in the beginning of that is like, yeah, we're probably going to pick up his fifth-year option because we just don't know what we're doing as far as extensions go right now. I would revert back to TJ Hawkinson for this to enter any type of trade talks, or maybe a DeAndre Swift before this enters any type of trade talks where Brad Holmes had these assets. These were valuable players, in the NFL. And instead of allowing them to walk in free agency, Brad went and got returns for them. He just traded them. He just, the writing was in the window. Hey, we're going a different position. We're going a different way here. You're a little bit part of the old regime. We're not really looking to pay anybody that type of money. You're not. All due respect to them, they didn't fit our. I don't want to say they didn't fit our culture, but I'm assuming it had to be the reason why, because I think both those guys are good players. So what happens is you trade them, and that's how you relate this Jameson Williams conversation to a trade talk. From then, the Lions then have Matthew Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas, who ran a 4.29 in for a pre-draft visit. That persisted with my guy Russell Brown talking about, hey, if Brad's really going BPA here, wide receiver 2 to 3 is going to be better than your edge 4 to 5. And that's probably what we'll see Brad do. This is it's not me saying this. This is Russ. These people talking about the BPA approach, which honestly, I'll go out there and say that. Yeah, if that's how the board falls to them at 28 and they can't move back, that's probably what's going to happen, right? So now this drums up an article from my guy, Mike Payton. And Mike Payton writes, don't be surprised if the Detroit Lions trade Jameson Williams on draft night. They talk about in a move up, move back, whatever it may be. And obviously, people hate that because, again, like I said, if you're this close to the Super Bowl, why would you trade Jameson Williams? It makes absolutely zero sense to trade Jameson Williams. Unless there's something going on behind scenes that we don't know in terms of like character questions or arguments or whatever it may be. You don't trade a player like Jameson Williams when you're this close to winning a Super Bowl and you're not even in any type of rush to re-sign him to any type of extension. As Brad Holmes said, he's know he's going to do an extension. You have this 4th year, and then your 5th-year option is picked up for the following year. That's 2 more years of contract control for a wide receiver that's projected to be pretty damn good. At least one of the best deep threats in the National Football League. I might argue Tyreek Hill kind of falling off now. He might be the best deep threat in the National Football League. Maybe Brian Thomas in that conversation too. That's a whole conversation for another day. It made no sense. But I get how someone like Mike Payton can connect the dots. I'm saying like, okay, well, maybe this is, they're visiting Matthew Golden and he might be there. They're not seeing Jamo. The value for Jamo you would get in a trade right now isn't even anything remotely close to what he is potentially going to become. Like right now, between the injuries, between the suspensions, a trade offer for Jameson Williams will be piss poor. I would probably start at like the 3rd round, and I'm just not trading Jameson Williams for a 3rd round pick in this year's draft, especially. And obviously, you don't know what these guys are going to become. That 3rd round pick could be, superstar. It could be a star. It could be Aleem McNeil. Aleem McNeil's 3rd round pick, right? I'm not doing that. I'm not playing with the crystal balls. I'm not playing with the question marks. I got a certified baller in Jameson Williams. That's what I'm rocking with personally. That's just me. And so, boom, Mike writes the article. I think for the most part, it completely gets dismissed. I think Jameson Williams spoke on it. I know that we spoke on it. We do a daily show. We can't speak on these things. So, yeah, of course, we're going to bring up an article where people talk about trading Jameson Williams. It's not going to happen. I still don't think it's going to happen. However, the conversation is starting to get a little bit more real. Following those situations, we had Albert Breer from Sports Illustrated. He's probably one of the most plugged up NFL connections who has numbers to general managers and all other kinds of people, right? He is talking to the guys making the calls, making the decisions. Albert Breer, he is the Monday morning quarterback, I believe, for Sports Illustrated. And he wrote this blurb up on the NFL draft, citing each team, their needs, what they've been looking at in terms of like rumors around the NFL and other conversations to do with that too. And Albert Breer writes, and I'll read the whole thing for you if you'd like. He says, what you need to know. Obviously, this is a roster that's in really good shape, allowing for the Lions to target certain needs, and defensive line is very much one to keep an eye on. Certainly, finding a bookend for Aiden Hutchinson has been a focus for a while for Dan Campbell and GM Brad Holmes. But I've heard more about the search for defensive tackle within a deep class that should give them options. It makes sense. Aleem McNeil is coming back off of a torn ACL. Levan Zarike is on a 1-year deal, and DJ Reader isn't getting younger. Receiver is another spot to consider. This is where we start into the conversation now. With a 5th-year option decision coming on Jameson Williams, this is the very last part of it. It says, in some NFL circles, believing he could be traded. This is different than speculation. This is different than connecting dots. These are conversations being had. And then I try to temper them right away because we've had conversations. As fans, of course, we're not NFL circles per se. We're not general managers, scouts, pro personnel, none of that. But our pro personnel, our general manager was talking about acquiring a defensive end, as he put in that blurb right there too, that they would love to add a book in following Aiden Hutchinson. Shoot, Brad Holmes was rumored to be, per ESPN, the most persistent candidate to land Myles Garrett, the guy that was most persistent in contacting the Browns and trying to get Myles Garrett at last year's deadline. We know he called about Max Crosby. We obviously made the trade for Darius Smith. Like conversations were had. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is like circles believe that those guys could be traded. Max Crosby, Myles Garrett. Did it happen? No. So I try to calm everything down there. Like, hey, NFL circles may want Jameson Williams traded. But as we stated 5 times in this video, this is not the opportunity, not the moment for the Detroit Lions to make that move. We're trying to win a Super Bowl right now, right? So it's like, dead it, table it. Doesn't make sense. Not doing it. Circles, conversations can be had. Doesn't mean he's getting moved, right? It does, however, mean that like at some point, someone may put up a nice little package that Brad might be scratching his head at, but I still don't believe that happens to the following years, 2 more years. And then even then, like it's It's got to be a good package, right? It's got to be one that Brad agrees to. But it does make it more real in the sense that now Brad has to say yes and no. Well, hopefully not yes, but for certainly no to certain deals. And those deals are getting planted. Those seeds are getting planted as had like, hey, this is where we're at. Where are you at? What more do we need to add to make this happen? And Brad's like, no, no, no. We're trying to win the Super Bowl. Whatever. Conversations happen. However, that's now once in the media where we played you the Brad Holmes clip where he's kind of just saying, I don't know if the extension is going to happen here. That's twice in the media where Mike Payton puts it out there that, hey, this might make sense to do. Trade James. This might happen, I guess. We trade Jameson Williams on draft night. There's a third part to it where I guess, yeah, media again, where you're talking about drafting Matthew Golden, who runs a 4-2, and would obviously play the same position or role in the offense for the Detroit Lions as Jameson Williams. And then you have a fourth piece, Albert Breer. That's a walk. You're on base at that point. Where Albert Breer puts out there that the NFL circles are talking about trading Jameson Williams. Now, I don't know if this is a reaction to the media or actual conversations are being had, but last night around midnight, after the Pistons won the first playoff game in 17 years, by the way, shout out, Jameson Williams had this to say on his Instagram story: loyalty before any and everything. This story persisted with multiple subliminal posts about loyalty, sucker free, all kinds of stuff like that. So now Jameson Williams is making comments, making statements. And I don't know whether it's due to what Brad Holmes said, or whether it's due to what the fans are saying, because obviously there are some fans out there that are like, yeah, let's trade Jamo. Like, I don't agree with them, but they're out there. You may be watching this video, and if you are, let me know your reasoning down below. We'll be happy to listen. We'll be happy to read that. But now Jameson Williams is involved, and I think, again, I don't think this is going to happen, but it does make everything a lot more real, and it's kind of, I don't want to say terrifying, but I don't like to hear that. I don't want to trade Jameson Williams. I don't know. I just want to keep you guys. What do you guys think is going to happen? Do you think the Detroit Lions trade Jameson Williams? What do the Lions get back for Jameson Williams? I can tell you right now, I'm not trading Jameson Williams for nothing less than a player that's going to help me win a Super Bowl right now. Now, a lot of you guys talking about trading Jameson Williams, move up in this draft. Move up for a question mark? Like move up for a guy that's not guaranteed to be good? No, absolutely not. If I'm moving off of a guy like Jameson Williams, I'm getting someone in return who's going to help me win the darn Super Bowl. I'm just trying not to swear there. That's what I'm looking like. A TJ Watt, is no longer on the table anymore, but Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, like Trey Hendrickson, something like that. Something's going to help me achieve my goal of winning the Super Bowl. Not for a rookie. Not for a top 3 pick. It had to be a top 5 pick, to be honest with you. And I'm telling you, that's not the case right now. A guy with multiple suspensions, a guy with multiple injuries, not really, I'm sorry, just the one injury. But he's not, you're not trading that. He's not being traded for anything less than that. And you're not going to get that in an offer because another GM's going to talk you down because of those situations. Only 1 year of 1,000 yards. He just did 1,001 yards. Like, come on now. I don't know, man. That's where I sit. I don't want it to happen. I'm hoping Jameson Williams talk about a situation with a friend, or somebody in his neighborhood he grew up in. It's something like that, and not with the Detroit Lions situation. Because I very much like Jameson Williams' team. I think he's a player that keeps you in any game because he can score at any given moment. You saw just this past postseason. By the way, he shows up in big moments, by the way, too. Right? The year he didn't really have much production, but you show up in that NFC Conference Championship game and you have 2 touchdowns and be as effective as he was, that's a clutch. It's a big-time moment to show up. And he did it again this past season against the Commanders. Jared Goff gets hurt, goes out of the game. Jameson Williams still a weapon. Yeah, I don't need necessarily a quarterback to throw him the ball because he's so dang fast. And our offensive coordinator at the time was so dang creative that you can still get him on the end round and he's gone. And he's humping the end zone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to get rid of Jameson Williams. I want to keep him. But let me know what you guys think down below. Would you like to trade Jameson Williams? What would you trade Jameson Williams for? Or is it no, keep Jamo here? And what do you think he's even talking about? Again, is this even about the Detroit Lions? Could this be about something else? Are you familiar? Do you know what's going on? I would love to know. Put me at ease about that one. But until next time, guys, make sure you smash that like button. Again, I'm out. My name's Eazy. You catch me here weekly or on Woodward Sports on Woodward Heavyweights, 5 to 7. Peace.